Namaskar friends. Imran Khan was well known as the master of U-turns. He was almost lyrical about its virtues. In November 2018, during a meeting with select journalists when he was Prime Minister, he had famously remarked that a leader who does not take timely U-turns is not a real leader, that U-turns were hallmarks of leadership. He went to the extent of saying that Adolf Hitler lost World War II because he was unable to do so. Throughout the PTI government's rule, Imran Khan took U-turns faster than you can refresh your Twitter feed, creating confusion. But here's the irony. Khan's successors have embraced this philosophy with full enthusiasm. Ishaq Dar, Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, has turned it into state policy. I am Tilak Devasher and you are watching The Great Game Reloaded. Take the Pahalgam terror attack in April. 26 tourists were killed. The Resistance Front, TRF, an offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, LET, claimed responsibility and then retracted, obviously under Pak pressure. But it was too late. The world knew who had done it. But imagine, Pakistan blocked any mention of the TRF at the UN Security Council. Ishaq Dar even boasted in Parliament that due to Pakistan, reference to the TRF in the UN Security Council resolution that condemned the Pahalgam attacks was deleted from the statement. He added, and I quote, "We don't consider TRF illegal. Show us proof," unquote. Since the TRF was supposedly an Indian outfit, everyone wondered why Pakistan went out of its way to protect it. Fast forward a few weeks. In July, the United States designated the TRF as a foreign terrorist organization, a specially designated global terrorist, and a Lashkar-e-Taiba front and proxy. Dar immediately started singing a different tune. In an abrupt U-turn, Dar said at an event in Washington, D.C. in July that Pakistan has, quote-unquote, no issue with the US designation. That was a quick U-turn. No proof asked for from the US. What changed? Pressure from Washington? Fear of sanctions? Or simply Pakistan being Pakistan, saying one thing in Islamabad, another in Washington, and hoping no one notices? But the world did notice. Let's look at Operation Sindoor, India's response to the Pahalgam massacre. 9 terror camps were targeted, including the headquarters of the LET and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. 11 Pakistani air bases were hit. Even before India or Pakistan made any formal announcement, President Trump had rushed to social media claiming success. Writing on Truth Social, he declared, and I quote, "After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries," unquote. President Trump has repeated the claim many times that he, quote, unquote, helped settle the tensions between India and Pakistan. Mr. Trump said that he told the nuclear-armed South Asian neighbors that America will do, quote, a lot of trade, unquote, with them if they stop the conflict. India rejected this assertion. Prime Minister Modi told Parliament that India never accepted mediation. The ceasefire was negotiated directly, army to army, DGMO to DGMO.
दुनिया के किसी भी नेता ने भारत के ऑपरेशन रोकने के लिए नहीं कहा.
Pakistan went along with President Trump's assertion. They nominated him for the Nobel Peace Prize. In a post on social media platform X, Pakistan said that President Donald Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize in 2026, quote, in recognition of his decisive diplomatic intervention and pivotal leadership during the recent India-Pakistan crisis, unquote, that saved millions of lives. Why would Pakistan endorse this? Because they needed Trump. They needed Washington's support at a time when their economy was collapsing, their credibility was zero, and their army was under scrutiny. So Pakistan decided to flatter President Trump, and in doing so, they made a mockery of themselves. But wait, the story is not yet done. There is a twist. Having given President Trump the credit and the Nobel nomination, Pakistan backtracked, did the proverbial U-turn. Ishaq Dar admitted that Pakistan had asked for a ceasefire. In what would be very embarrassing for Washington, Ishaq Dar clarified that Islamabad never requested the United States or any third party to mediate a ceasefire with India during Operation Sindoor. Dar's statement directly contradicted repeated assertions by President Trump that he brokered peace between New Delhi and Islamabad. Dar was quoted saying, and I quote, "We did not ask the United States or any other country to arrange talks. The ceasefire request came from Pakistan," unquote, he said. Dar's admission confirms that Pakistan was rattled by the Indian strikes and it blinked. It sought to halt the escalation after Indian strikes hit multiple strategic sites, including the Noor Khan Air Base. He further revealed that Islamabad had reached out to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, but only to convey its own ceasefire request, not to seek mediation. Quite clearly, the way the cards are stacked in Pakistan, Dar could not have contradicted President Trump without clearance from the army. This provokes a moot question. Has the heady lunch that Army Chief Asim Munir had with President Trump in June already soured? Time will tell. But let's talk about the Pakistan Army for a bit. Recently, a senior journalist, Sohail Varach, claimed to have interviewed Army Chief Asim Munir in Brussels. Munir had stopped over in Brussels for a private visit while returning from his second visit to the United States. I had spoken about this in episode 23. Sohail Varach held forth in an article in The Jung on a 2-hour interview with Asim Munir after the latter addressed a gathering of Pakistani diaspora there on 12th August. Varach claimed, and I quote, "Regarding a political question, Munir recited on stage the text and translation of the Quranic verses about Adam's creation and the role of Satan or Shaitan, inferring that political reconciliation was possible only if angels sincerely asked for forgiveness. Otherwise, the one who did not ask for forgiveness became Satan or Shaitan," unquote. Varach and others interpret this as an oblique reference to former Prime Minister Imran Khan. But then came the surprising denial. The DG ISPR, the army spokesman, said no interview ever took place. Think about this. Pakistan's army, which prides itself on its power, was reduced to issuing clarifications about whether or not their chief gave an interview. That too in a foreign country. Speaking with reporters, the DG ISPR clarified that the reference made by Sohail Varach in his column was misleading. He explained that the incident related to an event in Brussels where hundreds of people took photographs. According to the DG ISPR, there was no talk of PTI or any discussion about an apology at that gathering. He accused Sohail Varach of attempting to gain personal publicity through this claim, which he called an inappropriate and irresponsible act. The army spokesperson stressed that anyone who commits an unlawful act will have to face the law. He expressed regret that even a senior journalist had failed to show responsibility. It is significant that the Brussels event was on 12th August, while the denial by the DG ISPR was only on 21st August. The timing of DG ISPR's denial is interesting. It came after a Supreme Court verdict of 21st August in which a 3-member bench allowed Imran Khan bail in 8 cases pertaining to the 9th May 2023 violence in Lahore and other places. The judges made clear that they were not going into the merits of the charge, but just giving bail. Even though the charges remain, the message is clear. Khan is still in play. He is not finished. And that terrifies the Pakistan establishment. This is what seemed to have impelled the army to deny that an interview had taken place at all. The impression that the article created was that Munir would forgive Imran Khan if the latter were to ask for it sincerely. If this was so, then what role does the judiciary have? If the army were to forgive, then the courts might as well pack up and go home. The army probably realized that this was going too far, even if it was the reality. They are firefighting on too many fronts: an economy in shambles, a political opposition that refuses to fade away, an international community questioning the human rights records, an adverse internal security situation. Taking on the judiciary would be the last thing in Munir's mind. Hence, the denial of the interview. And that brings us to Imran Khan, the man who refuses to go away. He may be in jail, but his shadow looms large over Pakistan. Recently, two of his nephews, Sher Shah Khan and Shahrez Khan, were arrested. Police claim they were involved in the 9th May 2023 riots. Amnesty International calls it a witch hunt. They say Pakistan is targeting family members of political opponents to intimidate and silence dissent. Think about it. Somewhere, the army is losing the plot and the narrative. Since it can't control the leader, it is going after the family. That's what dictatorships do. That's what authoritarian regimes do. And Pakistan is doing exactly that. As if things were bad enough, Pakistan now faces heat from the US Congress. Representatives Joe Wilson, Republican South Carolina, and Jimmy Panetta, Democrat California, introduced a bipartisan bill, the Pakistan Democracy Act, in the US Congress in March 2025. The bill mandates that within 180 days, the US government identify individuals involved in political persecution in Pakistan and impose penalties, including visa bans and restrictions on entry into the United States. It explicitly accuses Munir of, quote, knowingly engaging in the wrongful persecution and imprisonment of political opponents, unquote, and seeks sanctions against him for persecuting political opponents. Imagine the humiliation. Pakistan's most powerful man, the army chief, facing sanctions from Washington. Now Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat Maryland, has followed this up by writing a scathing letter to Pakistan's ambassador in Washington, calling out the crackdown on free expression, political opposition, and the jailing of Imran Khan. He even promised a Senate hearing on Pakistan's democratic backsliding. Pakistan tried to dismiss this, called it the opinion of individuals, but the damage is done. This is not just about one bill. It is about the growing consensus in Washington that Pakistan could be a liability. One thing is clear, Pakistan is at a crossroads, and whichever turn it takes next, U-turn, left turn or right turn, the world will be watching. Pakistan may like to think that taking U-turns is a hallmark of leadership. The world doesn't think so. Thank you for watching. Do like, share and comment. See you soon with another episode. Till next time, I am Tilak Devasher. Namaskar and Jai Hind.